Hello everybody, welcome back to Farming Simulator 11 and Farmer Yip's Feldy. We're gonna just head on around. We were harvesting, as last I recall, and hauling items to start getting ready to farm some livestock. Just heading off here. Oh, I almost wondered nope, we haven't started cutting. We could here in a moment. Let's get our tank out so we have it ready. No, we'll get him going as well. Get him just set up. Get it straight. There we go. Off he goes. There's our combine. Yeah, while he's working there, let's hop out of game for just a brief moment. I'll come back to the script here. On Mod Hoster, some of you may remember the Riverside map that was part of an add-on to Farming Simulator 11. I was reminded of it here not that long ago, I think by a comment someone left on one of my videos reminding me of the BGA. And oh, that's what it was. I think they asked where was the silage clamp or something like that in the Feldy map. Well, come to find out, I don't know that the Feldy map has a silage clamp. It was part of when the Farming Simulator 11 came out, there was no silage clamp, no ability to make silage. I think you could chaff, and then you fed it directly to the cattle. Maybe you could do that, but they didn't have a BGA. That came out in one of the DLCs, perhaps like it says here, was the second DLC. I think there was 3. Anyway, Pro Farm 1 came out with the Riverside map. And if anybody's ever played it, there was an open area kind of on the map. Let me see if it shows a map here. Nope, it doesn't. Where that, you could put placeables in. And this one, when you download this particular placeable, I guess it's a type of placeable, it just perfectly fits in the open area that was on the Riverside map. And this one here, it's different from other placeables, meaning when you throw it in the mods folder, it automatically places itself in game right at this particular spot. So as such, it really didn't have any applicability to any other map, because if you would try to load it in another map, well, not only would it not load, it was specifically designed and looked for the Riverside map. And if you weren't on the Riverside map, the mod basically wouldn't load. But if it would, all it would do is put a random BGA at the same specific location that it, wanted to go to on any map. So when I was reminded of the ability to make silage and noticed that Feldy didn't have it, well, it seemed like that would be something fun to add. So I went ahead, I downloaded this. You can see where it is on Mod Hoster if you ever want to get it. And then I put it into the map. And I didn't put it into the map per se. What I had to do was create an area for it in the map, which I'm going to show here in a moment. And then had to move the BGA to that location in the map, which was obviously a different area. And then I had to get the script activated so that it knew, hey, we aren't on the Pro Farm map, we are on the Feldy map. So I just added a little snippet of code in here that allowed for the Feldy map, and so it will now work on the Pro Farm map and the Feldy map. And you'll notice it's loading a different i3D. Because I mentioned this particular BGA was at a specific location on the Pro Farm map. Well, if I loaded it up as is on Feldy, it would put it at the exact same location and altitude and all that. So I had to figure out how to move it, so I created a brand new i3D, basically a copy of this one, and I changed the location of the BGA in it to be in the proper place for working on Feldy. So when we're on the Pro Farm map, it's going to load up the original version of the BGA. When we're on the Feldy map, it's going to load up the other version, and both use the same scripts, so forth and so on. So with just a little by hook or by crook, if you will, I got that into Feldy, and maybe what we can do is I'll just take a brief tour down here. We'll drop the trailer. And since we have no crops in the field at the moment, we'll just zip across the field and head down over to where I put it. You know, and if you all were, because I know there's people that play this way too, you know, as you've watched this series, you know, I've made a number of changes to the Feldy map, I've made changes to the mods, I've done all sorts of things, you know, just to suit my own play style, whims, whatever. We'll see if you agree with where I placed it, and you can kind of see it dead ahead. I put it on the same island as where you sell bales, where there's a place to sell grain. I just basically extended it a little bit further to the east. Yeah, sorry, going across these fields. We wouldn't do this if there was crop in it. But there it is, and actually we won't be able to see it pretty soon as the foliage springs in, kind of like it is, you know, but you can kind of see where it is just over there to the, whoa, that hit pretty sharp. So here's what I did, and actually I cleaned it up here a little bit, kind of on the edge here, showing the gravel. I'm now basically on the new island part as I come back through here. I made the trees thicker than the hair on a dog's back, but that's just kind of what I chose to do. There's grass back here. And then we get over here to this roll door. I'm trying to remember if I had to add another mod to open the doors, but as you look at it here, the layout is the same. The buildings are all the same as they would appear on the Riverside map. It's just I've relocated them and put them here for Feldy. So let me hop out of here, and I'm trying to remember if there's a aha, there we go. Got to get really close. I may want to broaden the trigger that does that. I kind of think this is a scale here. Maybe, I don't know if this tells you what you weigh. Maybe it isn't a scale. But in here is where you sell the silage. I probably need to do a better job to make that look like a pit. More in there. I could dig in a little deeper in the map. You can get fuel over here. There's slurry I think you can pick up down here to put on the fields. But anyway, here's your BGA. 3 silage clamps here, and if I recall correctly, I mean the fencing, literally everything is identical to how it would appear on Riverside. Let me go in here. I almost think these are... Can you open them? Yes, you can. So whoever created this mod made it with the opening door functionality, if you will. And I don't know who, well, I do know who published the Pro Farm update. But as anybody is aware on it, you'll know that you're unable to load the BGA for, or the map for Riverside. It's encrypted. You know, a lot of times the DLCs were always encrypted. You can't see what's in there, probably to make it special to the DLC. So of course you buy the DLC. So what I don't know is how the modder figured out how to take all these parts. You know, when I say parts, I'm talking these walls, I'm talking these building objects over here, I'm talking the pit, you know, the building behind me. All these things had to fit perfectly where they did on Riverside. And if you can't open the map, how do you know where exactly to place, you know, this whole setup? So I'm wondering if the people that made Pro Farm, if there was a few modders that knew them, or said, hey, you know, maybe they signed a non-disclosure agreement, said, if you let us open your map unencrypted, we'll, you know, we won't disclose it to anyone, you know, under penalty of court or whatever. You know, just to figure out how and where to place the BGA. Because I gotta say, when I moved it down to here, it was no small feat. You know, most of the time you can take an object and just kind of place it somewhere. And maybe that's what, in retrospect, maybe that's what I should have done. You know, I could have just built this into the map itself, probably got it to run with no problem. But I opted just to leave it kind of in the mod form, you know, where if I take that mod out of the mods folder, this BGA will not appear. That's just the long and the short of it. What will appear is you see all the ground texture, all these trees and grass and everything, but the fence, all the objects, everything else would be gone if we didn't have the mod in the mods folder. But doing that was very painful because, you know, I had to get out Excel and do a bunch of maths, you know, just to figure out where it should sit here versus where it's at on the Riverside. So, but we figured it out. And right here, for some reason, I have horrible frame rate. You know, it's down in the 20s in the red, and I'm not sure why, because when I turn the other way, already, you know, I'm getting back up to better frame rate. But anyway, there's now a BGA on Feldy tucked away. Oh, actually, before I leave, stuck in the woods. These trees don't cause any damage. Let me open this. At the same time, you know, when you put this in, I had to also redo the PDA map. So I had previously detailed it out a bit more, so it helpfully puts an icon here as to where the BGA is. But you can see on the map, I created a new PDA map. I think it's pretty accurate. Kind of the same way that we did it before, which I know I described on a video. So have that in there, and zooming out, it's just basically add a little bit to the island. You know, over here, made a little bit longer. The only other island we have really is Kelp Island, and I still harbor some ambition of maybe putting another island out here. Well, it could be over here, I guess, but seems to make sense. Eventually, I would like to have a place to take logs. You know, we've tried to have a little bit of logging activity in here, and so at some point I need to make another island, put in some kind of sawmill, barge, whatever, some place at which to deliver logs, and then we'll have a place to take those. I know I've shown in previous episodes that there are some timber camps now. I think I showed that it's a bale destroyer trigger that basically takes those logs and makes them disappear, gives money to the player. So, but before the ad, I just thought I would add BGA in. It's something that a lot of people enjoyed in Farming Simulator 11 if they got the DLCs. I know I did. And I really appreciated that kind of an addition by the Giants to the game. You know, and maybe it's a philosophy thing. I really like it when they make an addition to the game that extends the basic gameplay versus just adding another brand of equipment. You know, if you add John Deere, which they did in Farm Sim 19, I mean, you had new machines. That's kind of cool. But you really didn't extend the gameplay itself. You know, a tractor is a tractor is a tractor. You know, so what if you get one with different color paint? You know, and I realize I may have stepped on someone's toes in saying that. But when you put in a BGA and create that, you are adding something new in the game to do that wasn't there before. You know, so that to me is a better addition to the game than just adding a new color of paint. Alright, we'll get this back up here and hooked up with our trailer. We were in the middle of harvesting corn, and the purpose of that was to make biofuel. So why don't we, and I'm kind of keeping an eye, oh okay, we got this fellow here, maybe we'll just round him out. I better check and make sure, oh dear me, dear me, turn off. Just kind of keeping an eye on my PDA map. I think, you know, it's always a little ticklish thing to make sure you take the picture right, and then because once you bring it in game, you see how decent a job you did or how crappy of a job by whether, you know, when you drive around on it, it corresponds to where you are on the map. So at least we're in the same field. So, and this time when I made the PDA map, there was a couple things I left off, namely the trains, which hopefully are moving happily over there, even though we can't see them, making their noises and their wheel clacking. That if we get close to it, we can hear them. So maybe I'll just dump that because it appears we're in the right spot. You can definitely tell what happens when you get on these steep hills, and it's hard for it must be that the width of these, like this cultivator, it must be determined by the game maybe on a horizontal plane versus vertical. Yeah, I'm not real sure. It just seems like every time I watch it take on a hill, that a lot of times it leaves skips. That's just kind of what it does. Just kind of seeing what's left. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that other field we took a bite out of. The harvester kind of went over there because it got confused as to which field it should be on. I see the angle of the field here is kind of, can't even hardly get my cultivator up the hill. because of the shape of the hill. Whoop. Trying to get this lined up to 180. Alright. Take it away, boys. Okay. I believe... Let me see here. That's right. I gotta get this set up, and I can't do it quite the same with corn as how we do it on everything else. So... let me see. Oops, nope, I don't want to go that way. I gotta get to maze. Oh, shoot. I guess I gotta cycle all the way through the M. Here we go. Okay. Boom. I'm not sure why it zips all over the place. That might be all I'm able to do in getting the combine going here. It's skipping a little bit, but what I don't want it to do is skip when it comes back around. So, yeah, hopefully that'll be sufficient. Something else I've kind of been keeping an eye on too. You know, I fertilized every single one of these fields, and all but the last one had a full coat. And I'm just wondering whether it made a difference or not. Maybe it did. And I'm still a little bit in the hole. The work is never done on the farm. But this here, oh, and I just noticed now, according to the weather report, I have a hailstorm coming. So hopefully, well, I guess we'll find out. We'll see how much of this harvest I can get in before the hail hits. And this may be my last cornfield. It just turned out that I had way more canola. You know, I planted additional canola fields thinking the yield would be quite a bit less than what we get, you know, from the corn. Well, and as it turns out, I just had a boatload of... Actually, I think I just went over it. Let's see if I can find the biofuel. Yeah, I still have 390,000 liters of canola, and there's no way I'm going to catch up with what I need in corn to turn all that into biofuel. So possibly what it means is the next season that I have in here is I don't plant any canola, or just a tiny bit, and instead I plant all the area with corn, just to try to use up all the canola that's in there and turn it into biofuel. Now let me try to just help out here and go around this area. Next round, he'll figure out, you know, what to do just to take care of this little dab. There we go. I'm trying to get back out to this silly guy who's just kind of going in circles. Clean up the last little bit here. Always trying to follow the harvesting equipment with tillage equipment, just to try to have some modicum of seasons going on in here. Okay, I think we're done with this steep field in here. Oh, I probably need to do this again. Hang on. Yeah, he's going to tear a hole in the air. So just to try to keep this clean, let's see if I can just take him along the edge, keep it from being a total sawtooth. There we go. Ah, he still has a little jab. I wish I could tell how many minutes I had left. I made a mod for Farm Sim 15 back in the day, or kind of a mod. I mean, it's kind of a scratch mod that would tell me down to the second as to when the rain shower was going to hit. I know there's no weather system in real life that will give you that kind of data, but it sure was handy. That way you could always tell how close you were, how much time you had to finish combining or whatever you're doing in the field. But not so in here, but that's all right. We'll just rely on our best guesstimate. Around this field here, get it ready to boot heel another crop into it. Slipping down the hill a little bit. That's what happens when things are steep. Oh, guess I didn't lift the... Yeah, you know, that took out the grass right there. It's never gonna grow back. Maybe it isn't that big a deal. I kind of like seeing the grass at the edge of the field, so that's my bad. I think in later versions of the game, it got a little bit easier to kind of replant some of that or make it look normal. Yeah, see, right here, there was kind of a wowie with the cultivator that took some area out, so I replanted the grass, but it just isn't the same. That's probably something I'll need to sometime fix in the editor. You know what? I probably need to. There we go. We are full. Let me go empty the fallow. And you know what? I'm a little curious too to see what is this auto, what is it called in here? Not auto combine. Kind of curious to see what the combine does as it comes around. Oh, for goodness, it aches. It just... Yeah, when there's another piece of equipment here, it just doesn't know what to do in terms of continuing. But I'm kind of curious to see when it tries to turn the corner, you know, when it looks ahead, it's going to see that there's corn over here when it turns a corner. But will it go over to that, or will it realize that it needs to stay in this field? I'm just kind of curious to see what it does. Alright. It appears it's looking to stay here. Cool. Well, how about that? Thank you, Eustace Farmer. The bell has rung. Can't believe how quickly 30 minutes can go by. So I'll just get to the end here, and then we'll call it good for the episode. And we'll have to continue our harvest another time. There we go. I'm pretty sure I took out some grass there too. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter to keep the grass there. I'm sure if a cultivator went over it in real life, not only would it take it out, you would also see dirt. It don't matter. Yeah, see, now I'm pushing it back. It's kind of, it isn't very responsive to lifting it for whatever reason. But anyway, thank you so much for stopping by to spend a little time here watching some farming activity on Feldy, this wonderful map ahead of its time in the farming sim world. At some point we have some hail coming, so that's going to hinder our harvest, but I will see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.